Hi, it's Jez here from Nigezza.co.uk. Thank you for joining me today. So today I'm bringing you the video tutorial for the Technique Tuesday blog hop that I was on, and the technique is the Stamparatus. So I made this card using the Stamparatus. Now this is the stamp from Ornate Style, and as you can see, it's stamped in multiple colours, and the only way to get that done really well is with a stamp positioning tool. And so Stampin' Up have a Stamparatus which does just that. So I'm going to show you how I created this card using all these colours. I've used here the Regals and the Neutrals, which is my preferred colour palette. But for this card, I'm going to use the Brights, which is completely opposite spectrum to what I usually go for. I'm using the Stampin' Right markers. These are absolutely brilliant. Not only can you use them to, what I'm going to use in this case, which is to use them as ink for stamping, you can watercolour with them as well, or you could just colour with them. You can colour ribbon with them, but you'd have to leave it to dry. So very versatile markers. You can buy them in colour family sets of 10 pens, or you can buy the whole collection together. And by buying the whole collection together, you get a nice handy little plastic storage container for them as well. I got mine all in one go. Okay, so this is what we're going to do. So we need a card blank. So I'm going to use, this was thick, very vanilla. I'm going to use thick Whisper White. You would have to buy basic white now, but I've still got quite a bit of Whisper White to use up. Oh, so I'll get that cut out. So I thought I'd just quickly talk you through the Stamparatus and what you get. So this is the Stamparatus. You've got a nice little white clean base there on it, and you've got inches and centimetres, and you've got two really strong magnets here at the back. That seems to have a small magnet attached to it. I've covered them in a bit of gaffer tape, duct tape, so that they're easy to pick up. They're stored there in the bottom, very far apart. You do not want to put them close together. They can break. For the most part, I find that just using one magnet on its own is enough. You get a little foam mat, which you use if you're using clear photopolymer stamps, so that you've got a little bit of pressure underneath. And you have two, they probably need a clean, two plates here, and they've got a grid on to match that grid, which helps with setting it up. And what this gives you, which is one of the reasons that makes this better than other stamp positioning tools I've used. I do have another one, but I've never used it since I bought this, and I nearly didn't buy it because I went, I don't need it. I just literally bought, when this came out, I had just bought weeks before another make. But this, because you've got these two here, if you're bulk making, I recently bulk made some Easter cards, and I was able to put the cross that I was stamping on there, the Happy Easter that I was stamping on there, and voila, they were done really, really easily, like so. You can then turn it, and you could have four. The other stamp positioning tool I've got, you can turn the thing, but one side is designed for the red rubber stamps, the other side is for the Stamparatus, for sort of photopolymer stamps, so they're actually different thicknesses on each side, so you can't do this with it. We have this hinge step system here, and that allows you to, I'm not going to use a hinge step in this, but in the blog hop there might be other people that do. So you would, let me get So I've got sentiment there that I'm going to use on this card. So there's our sentiment. So you could stamp it, move it down, stamp it again, move it down, stamp it again. So you'd have a whole row of just a notes all the way down the side of a card, or you could do trees, flowers, whatever, and it gives them sort of evenly distributed, which is a bonus. An optional extra that you can buy are these little grid mats. When I first got it, what I used to do was cut down these big ones, but this is much better value. So these fit nicely, and they help with when you're getting something in position to make sure that you've got it in the right place. I do prefer working in inches. So you've got an inch side and you have a centimetre side. But I say I'm an inch girl. So that is it. I only need one plate for this. So what I do, that might annoy me. I'm going to put my stamping up the right side up. So I've got my card and I'm going to butt it right up into the corner. You can position it in other places, so sometimes you don't get necessarily a really good stamp when it's so close. So I could line it up so that it's a little bit further away, and if I was just stamping once on each card, I might do that. I'm going to stamp multiple times, so to make sure that it really doesn't move, I'm butting that up right hard into the corner, and then I'm going to leave my magnet there to hold it in place. So I'm taking my stamp, excuse me, and I'm just going to sort of place it where I want it on the card, like so, and then I'm going to put that down and that will pick it up. So now it's in place there. If I was trying to make sure that it was straight, then this is where this would come in, and I could stamp it on that, and I can see from the lines whether or not, if it was sentiment, I could see whether or not it was straight or not, and then judge whether or not that was where I want it. So that's really useful. I'm going to put the stamp box there, and that holds it nice and firm for you. It's the good height for it, so that's another reason why I like this. I'm sure you could find other things possibly that you could use, but there it is, and I really like it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour different sections of this in. I'm going to go for Mango Melody. No, it's Pumpkin Pie. That's in the wrong place. I've obviously put Pumpkin Pie where Mango Melody should be. There. So I'm going to take Mango Melody, and I am just going to colour the centre of the flowers. Okay, so I'm going to put my glasses in for this because I need them. So I'm going to use the brush end and just go over the centre of these flowers, just doing the bigger ones because I'll do a different colour for the little ones, and then stamp that down. And there we have the flowers. If there's a bit that we feel needs redoing, that's no problem. That one hasn't stamped very well. Sometimes with the Stampin' Right markers, I find that we need to build it up a bit. So I like to stamp a couple of times. And there we have it. So that needs a good press. Sometimes you just need a good press to get it out a bit better. And now I want to do some leaves. So with the Granny Apple Green, I'm going to colour the leaves. I'll just do a few at a time because I don't want the ink to dry up. So we'll just do those like so. Oh, I've not got my glasses down. Put it up on top of my head. What I often do is forget, because I forget that it's like opposite when you put it down. So I'm colouring on this side, so I'm thinking it's on that side, but it's not, it's on the other. That's why I can't reverse a card very well. My brain just don't compute. And I say anything that you think's a little bit missing, just go around again. I find it quite relaxing. It's a bit like colouring in. Lots of people find colouring in relaxing, and I quite like this, and the result is well worth the effort. So now we need to go to the leaves up here. So I might continue that a bit faster. And that is how we do it. And then you can clean that with a chamois, or you can use your Stamp and Scrub if that's what you've got. I do prefer a Stamp and Scrub, and I just put some of my cleaning fluid and I just take it off and treat it like you would a stamp pad, and just run it over. Chamois is probably a bit easier, but I'm not quite sure where mine is. So, and then we just dry it on the other side. And that's my stamp, more or less clean. I'd probably need to go in it a little bit more, but I'm leaving it like that for now. So now I want to put these lovely little corners in. So I'm going to bring in another plate for this, just because I want to leave that there for cleaning. And so I've now lost my stamp set. Oh, it's there. I got it out ready. So I thought this would make a nice frame. So I'm just double checking that it is all butted up into the corner. And then I simply place this butted up into the corner. So it was in the right place. And I'm moving my magnet so it's nearer that corner to sort of support it. I'm actually going to put it down the spine because it's folded and I don't want it to move. So there we have it. So for my corner, I'm sort of thinking about what colour I want to do, and the corners I'm going to have matching the greeting. So I can pull that purple, that gorgeous grape out from the centre. That would be quite nice, I think. And you can either do this with a marker or you could get a stamp pad out. But I think as we're using markers, we'll continue with the marker. So just going to brush that all the way over and then stamp it down. And there we have a nice little corner. In the original card, I added a second colour, which you can do. So I stamped it in Sahara sand, and then I put Merry Merlot over the top, which I thought was a nice effect. I think I'm going to leave this as just the gorgeous grape, and then just going to rotate the card. Just going to put that back again up there because that is the folded edge and it can move. That's the wrong side. So put a bit of this over. You could stamp this by hand, but doing it this way, you know that you're getting it in the same position every time with the same sort of distance from the edge of the card, and it just looks a little bit neater and a little bit nicer. And I think this just sort of frames the card really well. And what I really like is that it's really easy to just go back in. Sometimes if you're using stamps and not markers and they need a little bit of re-inking, this helps you build up the colour. And get a nice, good, strong stamp. And if you've got any, if you're thinking, oh, I'm not very good at stamping, because you don't ink properly and so you get gaps, this is brilliant because you can stamp a second time. There we go. That is how I did that and got the it nicely framed, and so we just need to add a sentiment. I also did it on the inside as well. I've done some blending there as well to give this sort of more sort of vintage look, but I'm not going to do that on this. This is very much more of a bright, cleaner look, so I'm not doing it on this one. Okay, so I usually just add a little bit of a scrap just to protect my grid mat. I'll just leave that there until such time as I'm going to clean it. So for the sentiments, I've used the Posted For You. Both these sets, by the way, are retiring. This one's reduced. I think this one's quite a bargain. Don't think this one is. But it's a lovely set. I've done quite a few projects with this and I really love this Happy Birthday sentiment. But I've used Just a Note for this one. So got a scrap just on the desk there. No, that's thick. I don't want that scrap. So just beside me, I've got my Whisper Whites, and I do need my Gorgeous Grape stamp. Well, let's just carry on with these rather than get my stamp pad. Stamping Just a Note on that strip. There we go. Perfect. I found that getting the Stampin' Right markers was a good way of building up your ink stash. So I got them all very early on, and so sometimes you are just stamping. You just want the sentiment to be the same colour. You've used DSP, what have you. So this was a good way of me being able to stamp every colour, and it was cheaper than buying all of the stamp pads. And you can also go round the edge with your marker to give it a little bit of a border, so you've got like faux matting, and that helps it pop a bit. So that now stands out a little bit more. And what I did with this one was I put a bit of linen thread around it. Now, we don't have Gorgeous Grape baker's twine, but we do have white baker's twine, so we can colour white baker's twine. So I use my old catalogues as a sort of place where I can glue and do things like this, and it saves my grid mat. So you can just run your pen, marker over the twine. You can do it so that it's not completely covered, so you've got a bit of white showing. You do need to leave this to dry a bit, because it will transfer if you don't do that. So there we got a bit of Gorgeous Grape there. So I'm just going to leave that to dry off before I finish up. So I've left that to dry, washed my hands. So now what I'm going to do, so I cut this out using the classic label punch and left the sentiment just slightly over to the left. This is retiring as well, so if you haven't already got it, I have to say they are very useful. So I'm just going to put a bit of tape on the end there, so that I can hold this at a 90-degree angle, and then tie a knot. And then to help with my tying of a bow, I'm going to put a glue dot where the knot is. I'm going to fold the glue dot over, like so. And I'm going to place this just under there where the knot's going. And then finger stuck at the back. Then tie my knot and then have it held in place there. So now we can tie a bow. And if you tie your knot at 90 degrees, I want the bow to go that way. So by tightening it in that direction, the bow will fit in that direction. It will also stick to the mat. I usually keep a bit of sort of the backing paper from like a stamp set, because it doesn't stick then. So, tie my bow. Because you know how sometimes you do something off camera and it goes like a dream, and then you do it on camera and it all messes up. Well, this is the opposite. Off camera, this was a nightmare, but it seems to have tied like a dream, which I wasn't expecting. So there we go. And then we're just going to trim down those tails. Can't find my snips, so I'll just go like so. And then I'm going to put some little stamping dimensionals on the back, and that'll be the card done. So it looks like a simple stamped card, but we've been quite clever with it. So I do hope you enjoyed looking at this idea of using the Stamparatus, and it'll be, so if you've got one, hopefully this has given you some new ideas for using it and adding different colours to your stamps, a new way of looking at your stamps. If you're somebody who doesn't stamp because you feel you're not very good at it, I hope this has convinced you that actually it's a really good tool. It's quite expensive, but craft tools often are, and it's one that you could use every day. So put that across there, and there we have it. So that's a bright one, and that's a more vintagey neutral one. So very pretty, worth the effort, love the result. Okay, so all the links to the products that I use will be down below. It will take you straight to my shop. This stamp set, these two stamp sets are retiring. That one is reduced, and I hope you liked the use of the markers, and you give the Stamparatus a go. Okay, bye for now. Do go and check out my blog, and I'll link to the original blog hop as well, so you can see other ideas for using Stamparatus. I'm really looking forward to other ideas that people might have come up with. Okay, bye for now.